Wrestling and MMA has a large crossover in terms of fans who love both wrestling and mixed martial arts. This also extends to wrestlers being fans of MMA and vice versa. Over the years, a number of MMA fighters have attempted to get into pro wrestling, with a strong majority of names such as Ronda Rousey doing extremely well. Conversely, when wrestlers have attempted to get into the world of MMA, it's had mixed results. Wrestlers such as Brock Lesnar and Ken Shamrock have gone above and beyond expectations to create an MMA legacy as strong, if not bigger, than their wrestling legacy. However, there have been a lot of wrestlers who have attempted to try their hand at MMA and have never looked back. But who were they? Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 wrestlers who tried MMA and failed miserably. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Oh, I also have a third channel, so check that out if you can. Number 1. Mitch from the Spirit Squad. The Spirit Squad was a group who debuted at the beginning of 2006. They consisted of 5 male cheerleaders in a bizarre yet memorable stable. Their most notable feud would be a feud with DX in the summer of 2006, and even achieved a World Tag Title reign when they defeated The Big Show and Kane on the Raw following WrestleMania 22. The only person who had achieved big success from the group was Nikki, who would later be renamed Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler would be a multi-time world champion and would be a WWE mainstay for the past decade. Elsewhere in the group, Mitch would be released from the WWE in the summer of 2007. He would then retrain as an MMA fighter and had ambitious plans to get to the top of the MMA world. He would be trained by Rocky Long, and he would make his official MMA debut in 2010 in a losing effort to future UFC star Derek Lewis. Mitch's second MMA fight was set for the second half of 2010, but an injury forced him to delay the fight. Fast forward a decade later, and Mitch never even had a second MMA fight. His MMA record was settled at 0 wins and 1 loss. Number 2. Ludvig Borga. Now, you may have never heard of the name Ludvig Borga, but at one stage WWE had huge plans for the 300-pound wrestler. Doesn't he look like a precursor to Brock Lesnar? In 1993, Borga would debut as an anti-American heel who would rip apart the American education system. Following a win at SummerSlam over former tag team champion Marty Jannetty, Borga would enter into a feud with top babyface Lex Luger. During the build, Borga would end the 2-year unbeaten streak of Tatanka, which showed just how strong Borga was being pushed. However, in 1994, things fell apart for him as he would suffer an injury that would force WWE to cancel his push, and Borga would leave the WWE shortly after for undisclosed reasons. In 1997, he officially retired from wrestling and entered the world of mixed martial arts. He would attain an MMA record of 4 losses and only 1 win. Most notably, one of the losses would be a round 1 loss to UFC legend Randy Couture at UFC 8. Number 3. Nathan Jones. And Nathan Jones had a very underwhelming WWE career. He was initially booked to have a Hannibal Lecter-style character, but this was nixed in favor of appearing with The Undertaker. Jones was supposed to be part of The Undertaker's match at WrestleMania 19, but it was pulled from the match, and WWE opted for an interference spot instead. And the latter part of 2003, Jones would re-debut as a heel, which would only last 6 weeks, as he quit WWE as he couldn't handle the grueling schedule. And what many fans don't know is that WWE wasn't Jones's first avenue that he tried and failed at. Jones initially had ambitions to be an MMA fighter. Back in 1997, 6 years prior to his WWE debut, he would fight in the KRS Pride promotion. Jones would face a Japanese wrestler Koji Katao, and Jones would be forced to submit after he was put in an armbar. Following the loss, Jones would quit MMA forever, which seemed to be a theme throughout Jones's various ventures. Number 4. Sean O'Haire. Sean O'Haire had all the potential in the world. In 2003, he was positioned on the SmackDown brand as one of the top and upcoming heels. In fact, he would have a devil's advocate gimmick, which was very popular with the fans. He had a great look and a great moveset and should have been something special. By 2004, O'Haire was released from the WWE, and this was thanks to outside factors such as injuries and lack of creative plans, making O'Haire one of the biggest missed opportunities of the Ruthless Aggression era. The big man would then transition into MMA, and it had mixed results. Between the period of 2004 and 2007, O'Haire would have a record of 4 losses and only 2 wins. His MMA career would soon fizzle out as he would struggle with his personal demons, which ultimately ended his life. Number 5. Taka Michinoku. Over the years, wrestlers have been known to explore other avenues whilst maintaining a full wrestling schedule. Now this could be mixing a film or TV career with wrestling, which has been done numerous times. However, when a wrestler tries to mix wrestling and MMA at the same time, it just doesn't work. The two are such different animals that it's very hard to focus on both at the exact same time. There's not a better example of this when Taka Michinoku tried to work a full-time wrestling schedule whilst training for his MMA debut. Taka is a Japanese wrestling legend who is respected and beloved around the world. However, his MMA venture is a taboo subject as it was a complete disaster. Taka would fight in '97 just before he would make his WWE debut, and he would lose his first and only MMA fight after being made to submit. Sadly, this was the end of the MMA career of Taka, who then focused on his WWE career and would never fight professionally ever again. Number 6. Jushin Liger. Jushin Thunder Liger is well known for being one of the greatest Japanese wrestlers of all time. Having appeared in almost every major promotion in the world, Liger has created a legacy that is virtually unmatched by any light heavyweight talent in the world. However, what many fans forgot about Liger is at one stage he actually tried his hand at mixed martial arts. On November 30th, 2002, Liger would agree to a fight as a replacement for an MMA fight in the Pancrase organization against Minoru Suzuki. This would be Liger's first and only MMA fight, and he would lose thanks to a rear naked choke in the first round. Interesting, Liger would wear a modified mask for the fight. It wouldn't have had the traditional horns or the long hair attached, but nevertheless, it was a great visual. Number 7. Bam Bigelow. Bam Bigelow was one of the best big men in pro wrestling history.
Take a look at that. That is an impressive monster.
Having attained success in WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, ECW and WCW, he was beloved and respected for being truly great at his craft. Casual fans know Bam Bam for his iconic look, as he had fire tattooed on his bald skull and he was known for being an agile big man. He would notably main event WrestleMania 11 in a match with Lawrence Taylor, which some would say was the highlight of Bam Bam's career. But following his departure from the WWE, he would explore other wrestling ventures such as the Independents and wrestling for ECW and WCW, as well as try his hand at MMA. On November 17, 1996, Bam Bam faced Kimo Leopoldo in an MMA fight in Japan. Bam Bam sadly was embarrassed as he could barely touch his opponent and he would lose to a rear naked choke in round 1. And that was it for the career of Bam Bam in the world of MMA, which took fans by surprise as someone of his size and strength should have been a dominating force in the octagon. Interestingly, according to a 1998 interview with Bam Bam, he claimed he was offered a substantial amount of money if he would lose the fight. However, this has never been confirmed or denied by anyone other than Bam Bam himself. Number 8. CM Punk. The story of CM Punk leaving WWE in 2014 is one of the biggest controversies of the past decade. Punk left the WWE due to problems with WWE management as well as problems with his health. But following his departure, Punk opted to sign for UFC, and this would be a new venture that would be a complete disaster for the former WWE champion. After over 2 years of training, Punk would make his UFC debut at UFC 203 in a losing effort to Mickey Gall, and he would lose to a rear naked choke in the first round. This was a fight that most people expected Punk to win, so for him to lose in the first round came as a massive shock. Punk's second and final fight would come 2 years later, and that wasn't much better as Punk would lose via unanimous decision to Mike Jackson in one of the most underwhelming fights in UFC history. UFC owner Dana White was so unimpressed with the fight itself that he stated, "I couldn't wait for that fight to end. I regretted not putting it on Fight Pass." That's how I felt about it. Number 9. Giant Silva. For those who don't know, Giant Silva was a wrestler who had a brief run in WWE during the peak of the Attitude Era. He would be part of the infamous Oddity stable and would stand around an impressive 7'2", and he looked like the younger brother of Andre the Giant. Unfortunately, Silva's WWE run was short-lived, and by February 1999, he would be released from the company. He spent the next few years working independent shows as well as having a run in New Japan Pro Wrestling. As well as continuing his wrestling journey, Silva would also train to become an MMA fighter. He He would fight a total of 8 times between the period of 2003 to 2006, and he would have mixed results as he would only win a total of 2 fights during his entire MMA run. His run would receive negative reviews from many who claimed his fights were awkward, and Silva looked like he didn't have a clue what he was doing. Number 10. Kid Kash. Kid Kash was most well known for being part of the X division in TNA as well as part of the WWE Cruiserweight division. He was a talent that slipped under the radar by many fans, and he was never really appreciated for what he brought to the table. Kash, as well as being a decorated pro wrestler, did actually attempt to become an MMA fighter on 2 occasions. In 2008, Kash would make his official MMA debut, losing to Brian Brown via judge's decision. Then fast forward 8 years later, Kash decided to attempt MMA once again. However, this one was a complete squash. Kash would be knocked out in 38 seconds by Lindsey Jones. Kash, following his knockout loss, would never fight again. But there you have it, guys. 10 wrestlers who tried MMA and failed miserably. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists. We'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.